You ever see those crazy smooth edits and think to yourself, how the hell do they even make this? The secret is 3D camera movement, and today I'm gonna break it down step by step so you can finally start making edits that actually hit hard. Alright, so here's the game plan for today's tutorial. I'm gonna show you exactly how to set up 3D camera so your edits have that insane depth, the secret of working with 3D camera efficiently and save time in the process, why null layers are your new best friend for buttery smooth transitions, how to master the graph editor to get that smooth motion, the trick to adding depth of field that makes your edit look next level, and for bonus, I'll show you how I use 3D camera to make this edit. Stick around because by the end, you will know how to turn basic clips into eye-popping 3D scenes that will make you the LeBron James of editing. Yo, who wrote this? Alright, so I'm gonna make a scene now just to explain how 3D camera works. I'm gonna get my clips, which is a background and few images, and you don't have to recreate this scene, I'm just doing it to demonstrate. Initially, I thought I was gonna keep this scene simple and minimal, but yeah, no, that's not how we do things here. So instead, I made this 3D newspaper thing. Let me give you a quick overview. Firstly, I built this dynamic newspaper layout using assets from Juice, who are actually sponsoring today's video. I grabbed this from their newspaper construct pack, changed the image and text, and boom, we got this, just like that. They have this huge library of packs you can use, and some of them are free too. Personally, I use them all the time, and they literally got everything you need. So yeah, they already have a sale going on where you can get this pack for extremely low, but I hooked y'all up for 10% more off. Check description for both free and paid packs, and thank you Juice for sponsoring this video. After the background, I made these paper cutouts by looking inside the project and using my comprehensive abilities to learn. Yeah, so I just copied what they did. See, I looked at how they made their own layout, I broke it down and made my own version. That takes skills, right? Now that all the pieces are ready, let's make some smooth 3D camera movement. Right click and add a camera. Choose the preset. I use 50mm cause that looks right to me. Then add a null layer over camera and enable 3D. I'm gonna explain later on video why we're using this null, but for now just add it. Enable 3D of layers you wanna move in 3D. You can do it one by one like a dumbass, or just hold left click and move your cursor down like this. Now your clips are 3-dimensional, which means you can move them in X, Y and Z axes. At this point, most people will tell you to open position and use this value slider to make movements like a stupid caveman, but come on now, ain't nobody got time for that. Instead, you're gonna click here and click on two views. Then click here and choose custom view 1, and now you can move in 3D space. While holding Alt, use left click to rotate, right click to zoom in, and middle button to move in 3D space. Instead of using that tiny stupid slider, just grab the blue arrow, which is called Z-axis handle, and drag it. Drag it here, drag it there, move it back and forth, do whatever, but you can move it like that. It's faster, makes way more sense visually, and you can literally see which clip is closer to the camera and which one is pushed back. I'm gonna go ahead and arrange these layers in 3D space. Push some back, pull some forward and stuff. You can see in 3D view how Thug is closest to camera, then Drake, and then whatever that is, and then background. Grab this whip thing and link it to the null that we added earlier. Now the camera is linked to null, which means if I move the null, the camera will move. And since the camera is the one controlling the clips which are in 3D, which means my images and the background, my whole thing will move because clips are controlled by camera and the camera is controlled by null. Push P for position, keyframe the starting point, move it forward few frames, and then make the movement in Z position. Mind you, we are using Z position here instead of scale because scaling won't give you that real 3D feel. Z position will actually move through space, you know what I mean? Easy ease the keyframes. Right click on position and separate dimensions, so each dimension has their own keyframes, providing more controllability. I don't even know if that word exists. Is that a word? Then remove unused keyframes. For me, that's X and Y because I didn't use X and Y. Is it necessary to remove those keyframes? No. Could I have lived a normal life without deleting those? Yes. Will I still remove them? Absolutely. When we talk about smooth movement, we mean fluent movement. Not constant, but fluent. For example, when I play this, you can see the motion starts pretty fast and then it slows down by the end. That's what you call smooth movement. Think of it as driving a car. You don't want to make sudden start or a sudden stop. Usually you want to start slowly and then stop slowly. And please do not make your graphs like this because they start all of a sudden. That's just ass. That's trash. Do not make that. It doesn't look smooth. So make them something like this and they will look so much better and smoother. If your clip has multiple transitions, make sure there is no movement stop in between or else it's gonna look really bad. Make sure it's not stiff. For example, let's say I wanna zoom onto Drake. To make that movement, you're gonna add a new null, link the previous null to the new null and now make the movement. You are not gonna make more than one movement on the same null because that defeats the whole purpose of using nulls. We use nulls because with nulls we can overlap the movement. We cannot do that normally. Okay, now I'm gonna make another Z position movement and then in this one I'm gonna go to graph editor, right click and choose speed graph. The best practice is to use speed graph when the movement comes in between of your clip. It's not in the starting, it's not at the end, because in the starting you are going to use the other graph, in the end you are going to use the other graph, but when it comes in between, for example here, because I'm zooming in but it's not the start or the end of my scene, so I'm gonna use speed graph and then make your graph something like this. Make sure it's not too sharp or else the movement won't be smooth. And remember that the more space you have between your keyframes, the smoother your movement will be. And also whenever you are using speed graph, you are always gonna get better result if you overlap the keyframes of different nulls. Like I said earlier, that is why we use nulls. Not complete overlap but partially. I'm gonna make some more zoom in and zoom out and we got this. By the way, you can also rotate the layers or the images to make them look more dynamic. The best way to make your 3D camera look better is to add depth of field. And not many people know about this, but the camera in After Effects has same properties as real camera, which means it has a depth of field option built in. Just click on this arrow, go to camera option and turn on depth of field. If you move around the focus distance, you can see the new box on the camera view. That's the visual representation of the focus point. Move it wherever you want to focus. And also increase the aperture to increase the strength of the blur. And obviously you can keyframe the focus distance in aperture as well. In my case, I use it when I zoom in onto any picture. For example, when I zoom into Drake, while I'm zooming in, I'm gonna make a keyframe and then move a few frames forward and then adjust the focus distance so that it focuses on my picture. And you can also keyframe the aperture and turn it down so it looks like that the blur is slowly fading away. Now that you know how 3D camera works, let's put that into practice. This tutorial is about 3D camera, so I'm gonna focus on explaining how I made the smooth 3D camera and not the other stuff, but if you want, I can make a video on that. Okay, I guess the video is getting too long and I know your attention span cannot handle that, neither can mine, so I'm just gonna give you a quick overview of what I did, but because of this, I'm also gonna provide the project file of this edit. And for the fuck, I'm also going to provide the project file of the thing that we made in the starting. Come on now, that's a good deal. Here I have my base clip ready with camera and null on top. I'm gonna link the camera to the null like I did earlier. Then I'm gonna make a zoom out type of effect using Z position. And then I'm gonna make my graph like this. That's the basic stuff that I already told you. After that, I'm gonna add a new null, link it to the previous null and make it 3D again. Make a keyframe which is little ahead of previous keyframe and zoom it out a lot. I'm gonna add motion tile on the background layer so there's no empty space around it. And then I got this card image. I separated the card and photograph by masking them out, make both of them 3D and then select both of them and move them on Z axis. Move them so much that our zoom out looks like the camera is passing through the image, because it literally is. Add a gradient vibe on the photograph to make this effect. Add another null layer, link it to previous null layer and make it 3D. Then I'm gonna make this little zoom in like this and then move the keyframes apart, because if they have more space, it will be smoother. We're gonna add some text here. I'm gonna choose this text animation from Juice Vintage Titles. Now, could I make that animation by myself?
Yes.
Would that take all of my day and also my sanity? Also yes. I use this because it's actually time saving and easy to use. So yeah, I'm gonna add the effect, change the colors and then change the text. That's all. Then I'll add this Spotify player screenshot and make it 3D. And then I'm gonna set it up like this. I'm gonna go to custom view so I can align the screenshot with the card better. Then make opacity transition so the background appears slowly. And then add another null, link it and open position. And then move it down like this. After that, make that similar graph. Notice that every keyframe and movement is actually overlapping each other. This creates very fluent and smooth motion. Then add text animation and you are done with all your stuff. Now enable depth of field and adjust the focus distance however you like. I'll first keep it at Tyler, but as we zoom out to the card, I'm gonna move the focus to the card. And that's how you use 3D camera movement to take your edits from boring to insane. Big thanks to channel members for supporting this channel. I hope this helped, and if it did, drop a comment, or even better, send me what you made on my Discord server and tag me. If there's anything else you want me to cover, then feel free to ask in the comments. And of course, thanks to AE Juice for sponsoring this video. I'll catch y'all in the next one.